On Christmas, she offered food and gifts to a grieving elderly man. An hour later, his lawyers arrived at the door. On a serene Christmas morning, Emma, a young woman with a gentle spirit and an innate desire to assist those in need, spotted a solitary elderly man enveloped in his sadness. In a heartfelt attempt to brighten his day, she chose small gifts and treats, believing it to be a simple gesture of goodwill. Yet, just an hour later, the tranquility of her day was shattered by a sudden knock at the door. Outside stood a gathering of lawyers, bearing unexpected tidings, news intertwined with her kindness that would transform her Christmas in ways she had never envisioned. Greetings, dear listeners, and welcome once more to Unveiled Narratives. Today, I have another touching tale to unfold for you. On Christmas morning, Emma knelt in a serene corner of the church, her lips moving softly as she offered a silent prayer. With a heart full of hope, she sought the gentle embrace of kindness and peace to envelop the world, while yearning for the strength to navigate the trials of each day. With the final words of her prayer lingering in the air, she rose gracefully, smoothing her coat with a gentle touch. A gentle smile blossomed on her lips, and her eyes sparkled with anticipation for the adventures that awaited her in the day ahead. This Christmas, Emma had carefully set aside just enough for a delightful meal at her beloved Italian restaurant, a charming indulgence she had refrained from enjoying for months. To the casual observer, it may appear to be just another ordinary occurrence, but for Emma, it held a significance that was truly extraordinary. As she daydreamed about her beloved pasta, a thrill coursed through her. Memories of the little sacrifices danced in her mind, cutting back on coffee, foregoing snacks, and making every cent count, all leading to this moment of delicious anticipation. At last, she found the opportunity to indulge in a fleeting moment of solace and happiness, a tiny festivity to momentarily ease her burdens, if only for a brief respite. With those thoughts swirling in her mind, Emma started to make her way towards the church's exit, yet as she approached a more tranquil corner, her steps began to falter. There, perched quietly on a bench, distanced from the lively throng, sat an elderly man, lost in his own world. Initially, she thought he was just taking a moment to rest, but as she approached, she observed the way his shoulders sagged and his gaze was fixed on the ground. Soft, silent tears trickled down, landing gently on the parched floor beneath him. Her heart felt heavy. Her thrill and desires dimmed as worry crept in. A shadow of unease lingered in the air. With a moment of uncertainty, she paused, contemplating whether to make her move, but ultimately chose to take a step forward. "Pardon me, are you all right?" She spoke gently, mindful of not alarming him. The old man lifted his gaze, taken aback by her sudden appearance. With a swift motion, he brushed away the tears from his cheeks, striving to regain his composure. For a moment, silence enveloped him, his lips forming a tight line, betraying no emotion. At last, he found his voice, laden with deep emotion. "It's just a little something, nothing more. Only memories," he murmured softly, managing a faint smile that couldn't quite mask the sorrow within. Emma settled beside him, allowing just the right amount of distance to ensure his comfort while still conveying her presence. She was open to hearing what others had to say. At times, expressing what weighs on your heart can bring a sense of relief, she murmured gently. "I'm here, ready to listen whenever you wish to share your thoughts." The man cast a fleeting glance her way, then offered a subtle nod. He spoke gently, expressing a wish to gather with his family for Christmas. "I ventured forth to visit my son and to meet my grandson. However, they turned me away, claiming they had other plans." His voice trembled, and he took a moment, inhaling unsteadily. "My heart swelled with anticipation at the thought of reuniting with them, to weave myself back into the fabric of their lives, even if only for a fleeting day, yet they did not appear. I desire your presence with me. Here I find myself, embracing the solitude of Christmas. I'm not quite sure what drew me to the church today. Perhaps to ease the weight of solitude." Emma felt a deep longing for him. With a gentle voice, she expressed her remorse. "I'm so sorry. Today is a day when no one should bear such feelings." Her voice resonated with warmth and understanding. A figure emerged, nodded softly, brushing away tears with a quivering hand. She lingered beside him, and after a brief pause, her gaze fell to her purse. With a sense of inevitability, her fingers brushed against it, as if she were sealing a pact. A notion ignited within her thoughts. As she envisioned the day's festivities, meant to honor her in a delightful way, a sudden realization dawned upon her. There existed a calling of greater significance awaiting her attention. The elderly man craved warmth and companionship far more than she desired that meal. In that moment, she made a choice that would change everything. She wouldn't allow him to face Christmas in solitude. With a gentle voice, she rose and said to him, "Please wait here. I'll return in just a moment." The man nodded, yet a flicker of doubt lingered in his eyes. Emma made her way to the church's exit, each step deliberate and filled with intention. As the elder man observed her departure, his shoulders drooped, and a gentle melancholy enveloped him once more. For a fleeting moment, he feared she might not come back, and the all-too-familiar heaviness of solitude began to creep in once more. Yet, Emma was resolute in her decision to keep him by her side. With purpose in her heart, she entered a quaint shop. Intent on brightening the day of the elderly man, she thoughtfully chose a steaming cup of coffee and a freshly baked pastry, believing these small delights could offer him a touch of solace. As she drew near the counter, a stunning Christmas card captured her attention with its vibrant, celebratory hues. She lifted it gently, pausing for a heartbeat, then inscribed a brief note within. Something straightforward, yet filled with promise. Her words served as a gentle reminder to the man that he was not alone in this journey. Christmas, a time to weave a small thread of joy into his life. At the billing counter, Emma started to tally her money and came to the realization that the small amount she had set aside for her special meal was now gone, spent on these items instead. Yet, she moved forward without a moment's pause. She recalled the prayer she had softly uttered in the church, and deep within her heart, she understood that bringing a smile to the elderly man's face, even if just for a fleeting moment, held far greater significance than any meal she could have prepared. In that moment, she discovered the essence of her happiness through a simple act of kindness. Once she settled the $50 bill, Emma emerged from the shop, making her way back to the church, her heart brimming with a serene determination. With a firm grip on the small bag of offerings, she held on to the hope that they would bring a glimmer of joy to the lonely man's Christmas. As she approached the bench, her gaze fell upon the elderly man, who remained seated in silence, his head bowed in deep contemplation. With a soft clearing of her throat, she gracefully extended the warm cup of coffee towards him. In this moment, she whispered gently, "This is meant for you." The man glanced upward, taken aback by her sudden appearance. For a fleeting instant, his weary eyes opened wide in astonishment as they fell upon the cup. "You returned," he murmured, his voice trembling with emotion. He paused, stealing a glance at her expression, seeking to affirm her purpose. With hands that shook, he took it in. "I express my gratitude to you. I truly appreciate it," he whispered softly. Emma gently set the pastry and Christmas card beside him on the bench, a small gesture filled with warmth and thoughtfulness. "I thought these might brighten your day a bit," she said, her voice warm and uplifting. The man's eyes held steady on the card, as if it were a portal to another world. With a sense of anticipation, he gently opened it and absorbed the brief note she had penned. His lips quivered, and his eyes fluttered as if he were fighting against the tide of emotion threatening to spill over. You didn't have to do this," he whispered, his voice heavy with feeling. "It feels like ages since I last experienced the warmth of someone's kindness." Emma settled onto the bench next to him, maintaining a respectful space between them. "I merely wish to lend a hand," she murmured gently. "On this special day of Christmas, let it be known that solitude has no place here." The man breathed out slowly, cradling the warm cup in both hands. After a moment of silence, he spoke, his voice imbued with a gentle melancholy. "All I longed for was to experience the warmth of belonging to a family once more, if only for a fleeting moment." Emma felt a deep longing for him. After a moment's hesitation, she spoke softly. "You need not face this night alone. Why not join me at my place? I would truly enjoy the company." The man gazed at her, his face a tapestry woven with threads of surprise and uncertainty. "You've already accomplished so much. I wouldn't want to burden you," he murmured gently. "You're not imposing," Emma declared with conviction. "Your support would truly hold great significance for me as well. The joy of Christmas truly flourishes when it is experienced together." He gazed at her for a moment, his eyes shimmering with emotion. At last, he offered a subtle nod. Upon entering Emma's cozy flat, she greeted him with open arms, holding the door wide with a comforting smile that promised warmth and familiarity. The space exuded a simple warmth, drawing you in with its understated allure. Even though the furniture bore the marks of time, and was a collection of mismatched pieces. A worn couch with frayed edges, a coffee table adorned with faint scuff marks, each telling a tale of countless moments shared in this cozy space. All was meticulously organized and impeccably pristine. Emma's pride shone through in the way she crafted a warm and inviting home, a true reflection of her spirit, even with her limited resources. In the corner stood a modest Christmas tree, adorned with a handful of cherished, time-worn ornaments. A solitary strand of lights flickered erratically, enveloping the space in a gentle luminescence. The old man came to a halt by the tree, his eyes resting on it for a moment longer than usual. One of the lights had gracefully slipped from a branch, dangling with a gentle ease. With a tender touch, he reached out and carefully repositioned it, tucking it back into its rightful place. The tree shimmered with a newfound brightness, and a subtle smile danced across his face. Emma caught sight of him by the tree and offered a warm smile. With a graceful motion, she pointed to the couch. "Settle in, and let me fetch us a bite to eat. It won't be long now." The old man nodded and settled into the well-loved armchair by the tree. As Emma slipped away into the cozy kitchen, her gentle hum weaving through the air, his gaze meandered around the room. A stack of papers on a side table drew his gaze, whispering secrets of stories yet untold. With a moment of uncertainty, he reached out and selected one. A utility bill lay before me. Its bold red letters screaming past due, a stark reminder of obligations unmet. Underneath lay a collection of envelopes, each adorned with similar notices. The amounts owed hastily scribbled in pen on the corners. His hands quivered ever so slightly as he gently placed the bills back down. He cast a fleeting look towards the kitchen, where Emma's gentle hum filled the air as she busied herself with the meal preparations. With a graceful precision, she sorted through the remnants of what seemed to be leftover ingredients, carefully placing them into small containers, all the while reserving just the right amount for their meal. It was a modest gesture, yet it conveyed so much more. Each morsel of food was meticulously tallied, a reflection of her resourcefulness and the challenges she faced. The old man reclined in his chair, his mind swirling with memories and reflections. In the midst of her evident struggles, this young woman offered him kindness without a moment's pause. With her own resources, she prepared a meal for him, inviting him into her home with open arms, expecting nothing in return. His heart ached, overflowing with a blend of gratitude and admiration. As Emma reappeared, cradling 2 steaming bowls of tomato soup and 2 small plates of sweet potato casserole, she offered him a bowl, her warm smile lighting up the room. And so, the journey begins. It may not be extravagant, but it exudes warmth and heartiness. With a touch of festivity, she remarked, settling into her seat across from him. The elderly man received the bowl with a thankful nod, his hands quivering just a bit as his gaze shifted to the golden brown crust atop the casserole. "You've woven a tapestry of support for me already," he murmured, his voice heavy with feeling. "Your kindness leaves me at a loss for words, and I find it hard to fathom how I might ever return the favor." "You don't have to," Emma replied, her voice a soothing blend of kindness and resolve. "Acts of kindness require no return. It's simply the way things ought to unfold." The old man gazed at her, his eyes shimmering anew. For the first time in a long while, he felt the true essence of Christmas, not found in material gifts or grand gestures, but in the quiet generosity of a shared moment. As they dined in silence for a few moments, the warmth of the meal seemed to envelop them, creating a bond that transcended words. The old man cast a thoughtful gaze at Emma, his brow knitted in contemplation. He had observed the overdue bills before and could not overlook the subtle hints of hardship woven into the fabric of her humble yet well-kept flat. With a delicate clink, he set his spoon aside and let the stillness linger for a moment before speaking. "Your kindness has been a true gift," he murmured gently. "Yet, it appears that challenges have been weighing on you." Emma paused, her eyes falling to the casserole dish that lay between them. For a fleeting instant, she appeared conflicted, as if hesitant to share the weight of her struggles with him. At last, she released a breath and offered a gentle, nearly contrite smile. "I don't often share this," she confessed. "I wish for no one to perceive my words as mere justifications or a plea for sympathy." The old man shook his head with a soft, knowing gesture. "At times, the act of sharing can ease the burden, if only slightly. I shall not pass judgment, Emma. Your generosity has already made a significant impact on my journey." Moved by his genuine nature, Emma found her voice at last. though her words emerged with a certain reluctance as she shared her circumstances. In a bustling corporate realm, she found herself navigating the tides of a vast organization, where the demands were relentless and the toil of the employees often went unnoticed, leaving them yearning for acknowledgement. As she voiced her worries regarding the unjust treatment and probed into certain practices of the company, she held on to the hope for a brighter tomorrow. Instead, she found herself dismissed without warning. In a twist of fate, the company turned its back on her, denying the salary she rightfully earned. With no other choice, Emma found herself relying on her savings, taking on small freelance gigs online to meet her essential needs. In her relentless pursuit, the quest for stable work proved to be an arduous journey, with each day presenting a new battle to keep her head above water. The elderly man's face warmed with understanding as he absorbed the words spoken to him. After a moment, he spoke softly. "You've faced so many trials, yet you still possess the strength to uplift others. Hold on to hope." Emma nodded softly, her eyes drifting down to her hands. "I considered standing my ground," she murmured, her voice thick with weariness. "Yet, I found myself overwhelmed, unable to manage it all alongside the myriad of other challenges I face. Each day presents its own challenges for me. I find myself yearning for a new job to usher in a return to the familiar rhythm of life." The elderly man gazed at Emma, his expression a blend of contemplation and determination. For a fleeting instant, it appeared as though he was on the verge of sharing a thought, yet he restrained himself. With a gentle smile, he replied, "Today, you've given me more than I could ever hope to repay. Keep this in mind, Emma. Assistance often arrives in the most surprising moments." Emma tilted her head, a flicker of confusion dancing in her eyes, yet weariness held her back from probing deeper into his words. She offered him a subtle smile, believing his comment was merely a token of appreciation. Their dialogue gently transitioned to more cheerful subjects, enveloping the space in a soothing atmosphere of comfort. Before long, the elderly man rose to his feet, his movements measured and unhurried. With a heartfelt expression, he offered his gratitude to her once more before taking his leave for the night. With a gentle, contemplative smile, he ventured into the quiet of the night, allowing Emma to ponder the surprising connection they had created. As the clock ticked away, Emma found herself at her desk, deeply engrossed in the world of her freelance endeavors. The flat lay in quietude, interrupted only by the sporadic click of her keyboard. With a yearning for stability, she embarked on this project, yet her concentration shattered as a sudden knock echoed through the room. With a jolt, her eyes darted to the clock. The hour was late, and she found herself unprepared for any visitors. A sense of trepidation washed over her as she paused, lingering for a heartbeat before gently pushing the door open. As she lifted the lid, time seemed to stand still. Before us stood four impeccably dressed lawyers, their expressions a blend of warmth and gravity. Behind them stood the elderly man from earlier, his familiar kind smile now infused with a subtle yet resolute strength. In his hands, he cradled an envelope adorned with exquisite decorative paper. "Good evening, Emma," he spoke softly. "I trust I'm not imposing, yet I felt compelled to seek your presence once more." Emma blinked, her mind swirling as she shifted her gaze between him and the lawyers, caught in a web of uncertainty. "What unfolds before us?" she inquired gently. The old man took a step closer and presented her with the envelope. "This is for you," he said. "In a moment of need, your kindness shone brightly. And now the time has come for me to return that warmth." Emma gazed at the envelope, her hands quivering with anticipation. "I don't understand," she whispered softly. "You need not feel obligated. My assistance was never a transaction." "I know," he said, a small, knowing smile playing on his lips. "That is what grants you the right to it. Kindly open it." With a touch of uncertainty, Emma gradually peeled back the flap of the envelope. Her breath caught as she beheld the contents, a staggering sum of money that could lift every burden she had been shouldering. She gazed up at him, her voice trembling. This is something I cannot accept. It feels overwhelming." The old man shook his head with a soft, deliberate motion. "This isn't just about money," he said, his tone unwavering. "I understand the challenges you've faced, the delayed payments, the fights you've waged in solitude." With a graceful motion, he stepped aside, inviting the group of lawyers behind him to take center stage. "Gather round, for I present to you my esteemed team, a collection of the finest legal minds from my firm." They will champion your cause and guarantee that you receive what is rightfully yours. No longer will you stand in battle by yourself. Emma gazed at him, her thoughts swirling like a tempest. The understanding washed over her like a tide. This man, who had appeared so fragile just hours before, was the proprietor of a renowned law firm. His subtle power and impact were much greater than she had ever imagined. She turned to the lawyers, their composed and polished presence igniting a flicker of hope within her, of relief, as though her heavy burdens were starting to fade away. Months passed, and there stood Emma outside the courthouse, her hands tightly gripping the final documents from her case. She had triumphed. And the company found itself compelled to settle every sin it owed her. A wave of relief enveloped her, yet it was not solely the triumph that granted her tranquility. It was the unwavering support of the man who had entered her life on that fateful Christmas night. He fulfilled his vow, and with his assistance, Emma's life had embarked on a journey she had never anticipated. Her struggle had come to an end, and a profound sense of gratitude washed over her for the stranger who had transformed her life. As she cast her gaze back at him, a profound understanding washed over her. The kindness she had extended was the very spark that ignited a transformation in their lives. Thank you for joining me on this heartfelt journey. If this resonated with you, dear friends, remember to show some love by liking the video and sharing it with those dear to you. Spreading kindness far and wide today. If you seek more tales that ignite the spirit, tap that subscribe button and become part of our vibrant community. Your support enables us to weave even more captivating tales. Join us for more adventures ahead. Deeply moving adventures. Tap on the videos displayed before you to uncover more tales that will elevate your mood and illuminate your day. Your day unfolds like a tale waiting to be told.